Heyo.
Welcome to Benchwarmers, a Woso podcast, episode 31. We will vamos to the Liga F to do the same things we usually do in talking about teams that winning, and the teams losing. There's a few shocks in the around the grounds, but we'll start with the usual suspects, one being Barcelona v Badalona. It feels like an insult to like I know they're called Levante Badalona, but they were just a bad Barcelona. That one game where they had the 0-0. Like I just feel
They're
like
the Wario of Barcelona.
They're the Wario. Exactly right. Like Mario's Barcelona. Maybe Wario. Maybe we're looking at it all wrong. Maybe Wario is the Barcelona
if you're a
of it all.
Badalona fan, then yeah.
If we're talking about strictly governance of the organization, I think Badalona are the Mario to Barcelona's Wario. But I think they took that 0-0 draw personally, especially after the 4-1 in the second leg. But Badalona have been on a very impressive run, and then you come up against Barcelona and then realise that there's a reality check. And Barca may have been a little bit rotated in no Lexi, no Irina, no Ona, no Patri, no Katakoi, but it doesn't really matter because they had the same Catalonian masterclasses, the same La Masia products doing the business. But this game was a lot about Salma, to be honest. Salma doing the business on the... No, but you didn't call... You called it up front. She was everywhere. She was on the left. She was in behind. She was just crucifying the play. And I just think, like, with Carla Julia, the ability to facilitate each other is going to be a new combination that we see for the next few years. I think that is the second string combo with those two. Obviously, we had the later in the game, we had the debut goal from, what's her name? I forgot her name. Fenga. Yeah, so she'll be the third one in that list with Salma. Salma, Fenga, and Carla, I think, will be the big three in a lot of ways. But I think Marta Terra-John's goal was kind of just sad. It's just a really sad defensive error that just got exploited. But Sydney Schertenlieb's goal, this is my point about her being in the 8 and just sitting behind play, having the ability to take on those kinds of shots and doing the Barcelona blitz as they usually do. Esme scoring another goal, which is so Esme-pilled. I don't know how to describe it in the sense of that she just chipped the keeper so casually, so calmly, and you think to yourself, how does Esme Brutes do this all the time? Like, she just scores the weirdest goals and makes it look so easy for, I think that was 4-0 at the hour mark, and then Muppy scores an actual Olympico. That's what an Olympico looks like, Leggy. That's how it looks. It was a perfect cross.
I'm not saying that there's a hierarchy of Olympicos.
Like you could have put two goalkeepers. You could have put two goalkeepers in there, and that still goes in. That's how good that. That's how good that corner was. Yes. Then Fenga scored her debut goal, which was a nice move with Pina to Salma. Salma across the box to an open Fenga. I mean, just the off-shoulder run from Salma to feed in the La Masia product that is Fenga. I just think Fenga has the intuition. All these La Masia products just have such good intuition to be in the right places. Like, she's open. She's off her player. She's nowhere to be seen by the Badalona defense. It's just too easy for them, and I just think this is one of those games that we'll keep... We won't necessarily go back to because it just goes into the tapestry of their 6-0 game. But it just sets the precedent that they are so fine without all their leaders, and they're only going to get better. So the 6-0s will only become 7, 8, 9-0. The more games that they play with each other, the more time that players like Sid get, the more times Vicky Lopez comes off the bench. And I just think to myself, like, we're treating Vicky Lopez like she's 27 years old and she's not even 20.
I think that we were probably one of the first, if not the first, to really identify that Barcelona don't need their stars the same way that other teams do to have these performances. And I think that we said it in the way that still respected the fact that Barcelona are so obviously the best team in the league, and it comes as no surprise that they get these results. But at the same time, you have to respect that they are doing it purposely without their players. It's not like these players are out injured. They rest these players so then they can bring Carla Julia on, so they can bring Sarah Jordi on and Kamara, who's had a fantastic run in right back. I find myself constantly going back to the same point about Barcelona, which is you take out cogs and there's still a system there. It's like on auto. Like other teams are running on manual and they're running on auto. And I think that Real Madrid, they could set up this team for a next generation. They know that they have another generation coming. It's just the way that La Masia works. But then they can also say, in a final, the same way that we didn't necessarily trust our bench against Arsenal, I think that bringing these players on in these games means that they have a final, they need a goal, they can trust their players to come on and do a job.
It's the same for the Titans of France in Lyon. I think they have the ability to facilitate, not the same way, because I think France is getting better, and I think the products in France are different to Spain, and I think the football's more conducive for youngsters to just blend into the game a lot better for the Spaniards. But I do wonder if they will get poached for those financial means again. It's kind of common. I would there's a lot of talk about City wanting to sign a left back, whether we go to other leagues or just try and facilitate. Maybe it is easy for the vultures to pick and the vultures will feed, and they think to themselves, okay, what if someone does offer 400,000, 500,000 for Aicha Kamara? Will she just go? Will a player like Carla Julia, Esme Brutes, I don't think Esme would go for anything less than 700-800, but yeah, sure. I think to myself, the youngsters specifically, the Fengers, the Dragoni, who could be recalled, could not be recalled, the players that do have the capacity to end up elsewhere, I think they are the most sought after players, the La Masia products that they spend nothing for to get them there and then throw them away for at least 500,000, where they just wouldn't. It's just made out of dust. It's just free money in a sense that, like, Carla Julia, if Claudinha Martinez is 900,000, then Carla Julia is 1.2 the way she's playing. And I think to myself, someone will go for her. I think someone could, if they really, really wanted a striker. If Chelsea really wanted a young, and they don't really need the young and budding, they need the mature striker. I think Chelsea would be better to go for a player like Salma instead of Carla Julia. But I think a team like Arsenal could go for a Carla Julia and have her be in somewhere in the front three and do that. But again, it's more predicated on what teams need, and I think teams need more defensive players than they need attacking players of the teams that we know and care about. I think for us, if we need a left back, I'd be looking at Kamara. If we can get Esme, great, but Esme's not going to go for cheap, especially as a first team left back. Whether Ona can play left back, whether Ona would even come as a United fan, absolutely not. It makes it very, very difficult. But I think also that they could move intra-club. I don't think they'd go to Madrid, but
well, we mentioned that, like, the idea of intra-club is not a thing really in La Liga in terms
unless
of
they're
Barcelona
going to
players.
Barca.
Exactly, Barcelona players are not going down. Obviously, they're not going to Real Madrid. But I also think in Europe we're very conservative. You talked about players going for 800, 900,000 in the NWSL. That's American tax. Like that's the tax that you're going to get for the high impact player. That's the tax you're going to get for the fact that they have more sponsors than the WSL, which is a fact. And I think that in terms of what the WSL, what the other teams in Europe actually want to spend, it's usually about going young and going bright. And I think the players like Olivia Smith, we saw in the WSL, the players like, say, Linda Caicedo, who could potentially move if she probably and should want to.
I hope she doesn't. I hope she doesn't, just to spite the CBS crew that still yap about Caicedo trying to get Caicedo over to the States. I think Caicedo has a great time, and it shows in that Madrid derby. How can
you have a great time? Okay, I know that they won 2-0 against CFF. Like, fantastic. It is CFF, like mid-table. I just don't understand how you can have, quote unquote, a good time when you know that your ceiling is just so much more than Real Madrid are capable of offering you. It is once again one of those things that women's football is so eager to settle. We are so eager never to, like, rustle the basket a little bit. Like, yeah, like, go to Barcelona, be that first player to, like, make the into transfer move. Like, do it, because you are worthy of that. You're the best player in this side. You are worthy of a big move.
I do agree with the Barca of it all. Like, she should be able to move to Barca, but I just don't want her to move elsewhere. I think she loves playing in Spain. I think the Spanish fans adore her. I think Real Madrid fans love her. The ones that are going week in, week out are there to see Caicedo because she is that good. The question will be, at some point Real Madrid will command a semblance of investment that will happen. And they are showing it in the rumours. I think the Neve Charles,
Yeah.
I know they're linked to Pinto as well in central midfield. And there's someone else that they're linked to up front in Myra Ramirez, who's someone that might
Yeah.
be going to Real Madrid. I think Myra Ramirez would
That would be a move.
love to
Yeah.
play with Caicedo, and
Yeah,
that
true.
would create that Colombian hyperlink that would definitely keep Caicedo there. Caicedo's already signed a contract till 2027, so it's not going to be easy to just pull her out of that unless you're dropping 1.5 mil plus, especially with her PR. Like, don't get me wrong, I think Caicedo is amazing, but the output is not necessarily like 1.5 million worth. It's the sponsorships, it's the allure, it's the aesthetic pleasure of watching Caicedo, going to the stadium, going, oh my God, I get to watch Linda Caicedo play and look at what she can do compared to other players. She's not necessarily going to be the player that gets you 15 goals and 12 assists in a season. She might get you across all competitions 15 and 12, but in the season will get you 8 and 5, which is good, but it's not necessarily your left forward who is like Beth Mead numbers. Beth Mead numbers is what I would be wanting for the amount of money that they're paying for Caicedo in that 1.5 mil realm for the NWSL. And I know that's not what they're paying for. They're paying for bums on seats. They're paying for sponsorships. They're paying for shirt sales. But I think CFF in the Real Madrid game, it's proof that Real Madrid have her for the points and they have her for the moments. And that 1-2 with Athenea makes you think, why can't they facilitate that space for each other in games against Barcelona? Because it doesn't really matter. I don't really care that they're this good against CFF. They are this good. The question is, why can't Quesada facilitate a system, or anyone go into Real Madrid? The allure of Real Madrid. I know it's very Menso coded, but the reality is that there should be a manager out there that sees the allure of turning Real Madrid into the Real Madrid that we all know, and getting it to a point where you can get the best out of these players, the Weirs of the world who are a bit down on form at the moment and aren't facilitating the best moments, the Debritzes of the world who can hit those long shots magnificently well the way she did in this game. And I just think that it's moments of individual brilliance yet again, not really the system trumping all. I think CFF had a barrage of shots, and then to have an audacious effort like Debritz's left foot pinging the ball into the goal is just a bit of a heartbreaker. I think that Melgaard, like CFF started well, and Melgaard showed that. Melgaard is a player. I don't know if not many followers I know would look at my tweets, but I've looked at Melgaard. I've watched Melgaard quite a bit this season, and I said that if Leah Uhabi leaves City, which I've heard a lot of rumours that she might, that she would be a good young left back to sit in behind as a substitute left back. But also, you're kind of right in saying that City will try and go bigger and better and bolder, and they won't necessarily look to the mid-table of the Liga F to get a left back that's cover. It'd be looking at players like Aja Kamara and going, hey, you could come in and be second in line here, or you can be second in line for Barca, and it's hard to make that choice unless you're offering them bigger funds, which is why I'd want a player like Melgaard, so you're not wasting those funds on a player who's in the same position or was in a better position, and you're just going, okay, you're here for the money, not necessarily because you want to be, in comparison to Sam Coffey, who kind of saw the allure and saw the ability to play first team football and wanted to be a part of the process. And I think that CFF really could have got more out of this game. They probably should have got more out of this game with those barrages of shots that were all blocked or saved, and it just becomes one of those games that goes missing, but also just sits there as Real Madrid establish themselves as a somewhat pseudo duopoly in this league, where no one can really touch them from below, but they are still one tier below.
Again, we've mentioned it before, mentality. It's about mentality. They go into these games and they are entitled. They are invigorated by the fact that they have better players and they have a better system and they have
And invigorated
more
by the fact
experience.
that they don't have to play Barca anymore this season as
Yeah,
well. I
exactly.
think that's probably the best feeling.
That's exactly it. And the weight of expectation against someone like CFF in comparison to Barcelona is just a nothing burger. Like it is literally like, who watches CFF games versus Real Madrid if you're not a Real Madrid or a CFF fan, or you're not a general La Liga fan, versus everyone watching an El Clasico, and everyone seeing just how different and just how like diasporic you are in terms of like in terms of your style of play and everything in comparison to a Barcelona team whose system is just that it is just a perfect system against an imperfect Real Madrid system.
Yeah, it's the exemplar model. It's the gold standard of how to run a women's football side, and they're like this. They're like the C tier. They're the B tier of what that is in a Spanish realm. And I think even in the Champions League, they do what they can until they come up against a team that they know is there above their level and kind of shell in from that. But we will continue around the grounds. Atleti, who beat Deportivo 2-0 at home. This is the first goal was kind of a goal that Atleti usually concede with a terrible cross, a terrible bounce, a terrible clearance. This whip from Fiamma is dealt with so poorly by Merla Bath. It goes straight to Boa Risa in 3 minutes for the opener. She dabbed as her celebration. That's something I saw in 2026. We got Boa Risa dabbing before GDA 6. And dabbing was like 13 years ago, guys. Like,
Well, she's 30.
yeah.
I mean, I have to.
Sure, but like, no, there's no realm. DAZN, this doesn't run on DAZN. I'm sorry, but good chances for Atleti across the game. Sarajevo one-on-ones. I mean, I wish I could just like, if she could score, if she could score,
Yeah.
500,000 pound player right there. The free kick from Boa Risa, not too terrible. Fiamma as well. A foul ruled out, a really nice chip as well between, I believe it was Luani and Sarajevo. Sarajevo chips it into the post and the Luani passes it into the net, but they end up calling it a foul in the build-up, which... Sure, it's a foul, it's there, but a bit harsh. Jensen missed another like a one-on-one, not a one-on-one chance, but it was a chance that she usually gets 1 in 3 times, and it was pretty much all Atletico doing their usual stuff, but it was Gio who ended up with the second goal, robbing a back pass to the centre half in the 83rd minute, storming onto goal, putting one past Inez for the 2-0 win. Gallardo made a great save on Hilda Maguire for a one-on-one chance that got played over to her. That was probably La Coruña's best chance of the game, barring these long-distance headers that Liga F sides seem to be doing against. That was also in the Levante Badalona game where they were just headering the ball from like 15, 16 yards. I'm like, guys, you're not Wendy Renard. It's not going
Like
in
the
from
Serie
that.
A equivalent of the long shot.
Yeah, exactly right. It's just not going to go in. Luani had a late chance that was dragged wide, and this was just probably a very comfortable win in a lot of ways, something that they needed, a bit of a refresher, this new like 5-3-2 where Luani like comes across and shifts around and plays as this like, what do you call it, a roaming wing back, a roaming fullback who can drive around the pitch, I think is quite useful in the sense of that this puts them 5th, but they're 2 points away from 4th because Tenerife dropped points. They went in a scoreless draw away from home to Eibar. This game had 14 shots from both teams and 1 shot on target for the whole game. Natalia Ramos, 1 shot. So clearly Eibar did their homework in making sure that Ramos couldn't get anywhere near a sniff of a chance for Tenerife, but that draw is very costly and has Atletico barking down their throat. And Sevilla lost to Logrono away from home. Logrono doing more damage again to top sides, as I mean, it wasn't the super sub masters that we had last week in Asenio and Jimenez, but it was 2 players in their starting 11 scoring both goals in the first half and holding on to the 2-1 lead pretty consistently. It was De Silva, and then I believe a penalty that was taken by Isina, and I think Logrono now sit in. They're probably out of the relegation battle at this point. They are 5 points ahead of Alhama, which is a good spot to be in with not a lot of rounds to go in the Liga F. So I would be pretty happy with that win. It's a win that's definitely necessary in them holding themselves in the Liga F. And they've just had a very good 2 weeks where they've held off Sociedad and now just beaten Sevilla, who are in 7th. So these are 2 sides I would expect them to not get any points out of, and they've done very well to do so. But still in 3rd, still doing the thing, still doing the business. I know Logrono gave them grief last week, but they had Alhama in the relegation zone, and they gave Alhama an Alhammering. This is how you do it, Atleti. This is what you do. They went 1-0 down early because of a great ball over the top from Pinel to Belen. who like converts this one-on-one from distance. It was like kind of a chip, kind of like a driven like chip in a lot of ways. There was no way that the Sociedad keeper was ever going to save that. And I think I saw that goal go in and I was just like, okay, maybe Sociedad don't have this in the bag and Arula's been chipped early on, and there's not much you can do about that. But it was 5 unanswered goals from the 17th minute till the 70th, and it was Lavogez. Lavogez had a long shot parried away very well, but Marcos was the first to react to the ball, plays it back to Lavogez to get the equaliser, and then it was Marcos again playing on the other side of the pitch, causing all sorts of problems, whipping it to the middle. It gets pushed out to Paula Fernandez, their player of the year, who chests it down, fakes it past one defender with her right foot, then hits it with her left foot, which I think is her weak foot. I don't know if she's just that good with her weak foot, but I believe, maybe she is just ambidextrous with both feet, but hits it low and hard as Sociedad takes the lead through no one else but their best player, and has been their best player all year. Then late first half, the worst time to concede a goal, it was Kahinova and Ramirez combining on the right side. Ball played in, the back heel flick from Paula Fernandez to Lavogez. Lavogez gets her brace. It's so low, so hard, so in the bottom right corner, the keeper's left, which is exactly where Paula Fernandez put it. So just set up the blueprint for her. And then the second half, we had a lobbed through ball from, you guessed it, Paula Fernandez again, who gets it to Ayara Agarizabala. We gave her all the plaudits 2 weeks ago about this 19-year-old who is the real deal. She drives in and then chips the keeper. The keeper dives for it, gets a tiny hand on it, but it just makes the chip look even better in the 56th minute as they end up 4-1 up. And then 71st minute, there was a handball, and one of my favourite bench warmers of the season so far, Nerea Ezeguirre, off the bench, delivers a crushing fifth with a beautiful penalty against Alhama to hold 8 points clear in third place, 5 points behind Real Madrid. My Sociedad goats are just delivering on all fronts. Paula Fernandez, I mean, if they're playing UCL next year, I think she's going to be on everyone's radar. Not a lot of time, but I wonder if I don't think she'll get poached, because I think it's just one of those things where we'll just find out and it'll be like a mid-season signing next year. But the reality is, I think they just have so many players that I think are definitely gettable. Agarizabala is the one where I'm thinking if Barcelona don't fully trust Aicha Kamara in that left back spot, that this girl is going to be the real deal.
Well, I feel like in terms of Spanish ballers moving outside of Spain that aren't in the top 2 teams, it's one of those things where I'm kind of hoping that we see more of it, just in terms of diversity and seeing maybe more diversity in the Spain squad specifically. I mean, there was a time where it was basically just Real Madrid and Barca ballers, and then maybe like a couple offshoots. But in terms of like that around the grounds, I mean, only one side dropped points in that top 6, and that was Tenerife with their draw. Sevilla's dropped I think they were 4th at one stage to 7th. They've had 3 losses in a row. Terrible form, but it comes as a result of the fact that this is the end of, they've played for 25 games. This is not a team I would expect to have been built for a full campaign of trying to reach any sort of top 4, if you like. But I mean, it just goes to show just how competitive this league has been, just how interesting and revolving this top 4-5 race has been. And I think we called it. We thought that Real Sociedad were going to make third, and they certainly are probably going to be third by the end of the season. I don't know. Do you think that there's any possibility they'll catch up to Real Madrid? Maybe, maybe not, but I don't think that that's really the intention. I think it's more the fact how close they can get to Real Madrid.
I mean, Logroño are now probably safe. I don't know if they'll have the same venom going up against Real Madrid. I think it'll be a tough game. But the exciting game of next round is Tenerife versus Sevilla. That is a 4th v 7th that isn't too far away. And if Sevilla really want to be close to that top 5, they need to win this game to get ahead of Granada. Granada have Athletic Club, but also if Tenerife lose and Atleti beat Badalona, then we kind of restore a bit of parity and Atletico end up in the top 4 at least. Obviously, Sociedad being the anomalaic in a lot of ways, but I think that Atleti probably should be third, but they've just left it too little too late in a lot of ways. And Atleti are now 4 wins on the trot in the WSL. So they have pulled it back since the sacking, and I think that is the big talking point that they can hold their heads up high, that they've ended the season not fully shelling off.
Yeah.
But that is all we have for the Liga F, and move to the Femminile Italian football. We will start with a 7-goal thriller in Roma versus Como. There's a reason why we have that Chidiac kick up there, because I mean, she was robbed a player of the match. She was. This was
Nah, Harvey all the way.
I mean, Harvey like GA merchant. Like Harvey was not in every highlight reel. She was not doing everything. Chidiac was. This was a performance inspired by the Reutlers of the world, the Claire Wheeler versus Man City. This is Claire Wheeler versus City level performance. This is a team like thinking about where Como is in the table for the women's side in the Feminile. I believe they're seventh. They're coming up against the team that are going to be the winners of the league. They are 6 points clear with not many games to go, and like this is a ridiculous performance from. Well, I mean now they're eighth, but before this, before this game. They were, they were because Milan have just moved 4 spots up because that Femminile pack is crazy. But Como, what a performance, what an effort. And Chidiac was everything right about that effort. The chances she was setting up, the goal she scored as well, the nous to hit that ball low and hard. But yes, you are 100% right that Harvey's strike in the 26th minute following the corner, Gallardi, I don't know how you missed that corner when you made two of the most unbelievable saves at Veen's and Giuliano's. Like Giuliano had a free kick, you made it look so good. Like you saved that so well. Veen's had an amazing long shot that you saved as well, and then you screw up this corner from a set piece. I swear, set piece aura in the Woso as a whole. I was going to say in the Feminile, but in Woso as a whole at the moment, I think you fully started that jinx about a year and a half ago when you said to me that like Woso hasn't taken advantage of set pieces, and now we get them all the time. But yeah, then we had Harvey scoring again about 2 minutes later, a header from Giuliano's corner. I think Giuliano's corners are just becoming a mainstay for Roma as well. It's not just long shot Giuliano, it's corner Giuliano as well. Gallardi probably had to claim that one too, but he just comes out late, and then that's it. Then Roma a bit complacent, and then this is where Chids makes her move. Chids and Nwsl. Nwsl sets up Chids for the first one and had no right to score that, but it's a great setup as well. And then this throw in from the side, from Como's left side. Then Como plays this perfect up, back, and through to Chids. Chids drives through, finds Nwsl in space, and it's a crushing equaliser. Like, Chids to get in those spaces. Like, this is what we know she can do. This is what she should be doing when... if this is what she should have been doing in that era where she was getting picked for Australia. And I think it's performances like this, and also her last month and a half, that show that she is good enough to be picked for Australia. It's just about the chopping block and the pecking order, and picking 37-year-olds ahead of her that have 170 caps that aren't playing nearly as well in the league form than them, but are just going to be picked on order of merit.
I think that going into this season and for Melbourne victory, Chidiac was so plucked into this libero central midfielder position where she was the sweeper kind of and the starter of attacks. I fundamentally disagreed with that. I think it's one of those misidentifications of a ball player where women's football is so easy to be oh, you can play the ball at your feet, so we're just going to chuck you in the 6. No, actually you're a 10 despite women's football being so adverse to the number 10. But I think
all football. I think we're trying to kill the number 10s of the world. It's kind of crazy.
The playmaker is dead. Yeah.
Look, we have two of the best 10s ever to live right in front of me right here. The pinnacles of 10, Martha and Chids.
I think this was also a game of redemption a bit. I mean, no minutes in the Asia Cup, right? Sitting on the bench and basically being useless in a very basic term.
Yeah, not her fault. Not her fault. Just made useless. Yeah.
Yeah, And that has been the story of Alex Chidiac's career, I think. I don't want to speak for her, but I think that she's been so mischaracterized as a football player that she's been lost in her own like charm. Like we love Chids, but we don't really see her as like that type of footballer who can grab a game by the scruff of the neck and change the game. And I think she did in this. I think she was actually let down by her defense mostly because that attack by Como was equal to Roma's attack, I think. I think Harvey was phenomenal. Her first goal back since March 2025. And I think in all, I missed Harvey Ball, really. I mean, she was fantastic 2 seasons ago. But in terms of like quality players in that start for Como, that midfield and that attack was so on par with Roma that it became a battle of defense and late stage antics and that game management that Roma are just more used to than
Romo.
Roma.
Romo. This is the Romo derby, the Tony Romo derby. But I mean, they were up in this game. Como were winning in this game. So Baldi got fooled by that deflection from Winnie Heatley. This was Chids v Heatley. This is the Aussie Derby in a lot of ways.
And who won?
I think Chids won. I know the
100%.
scoreline gives it to Heatley, but Heatley had an own goal. And the reason that this ball got whipped in and ended up in the goal is because Chids carried the ball away from this like contested contest, like in the vein of the players I mentioned before, the Reutler, the Olivia Holt for Tottenham, the Maverick. I know we talk about the 10, it's just the Maverick. She's the Maverick of Como right now, and then eases the ball to Berisha, and then, there's a lot of luck on the cross, but Chids was just unbelievable this game. This was by far the best game I've seen her play this season. I know she's had an amazing 6 weeks, but this was just levels above against the best level in the competition. So
true.
Shows that she can do it against anyone. It's just about when and how that you facilitate her.
And she's only 27. Like
she's not.
Like
it's
5
not. We're
years.
not talking about the end. We're not talking about the end of her career. A lot of people talk about her like she's 32.
She's 33. Exactly.
This is the prime. 27 is mental prime for most players. It's nearly athletic prime in a lot of ways. A lot of players say it. A lot of biology says it's 25 to 27, and then a lot of people say mental prime is 27 to 32, and then you have athletes like Marta and Kim Little, and I mean everyone and all the freaks that Beth Mead's still doing it, like it's still going on. But Roma did fight back. Veens collected that cross from Harvey to make it 3-3. Veens is what now Roma's all-time foreign top goal scorer, I believe, which is 41 goals, which is very impressive and counting. I don't think Veens is going anywhere, so I think she'll do it. And then it was the substitute, the pilgrimage. We haven't heard from her in a little bit. Another Swiss maestro. We spoke
Swiss
about
maestro.
Your Swiss maestro. I'm on the Iman Bene Smilla Velotto train, and you're on the Leah Valti Elia Pilgrim train. So Elia
I'll take
Pilgrim.
I'll take Sydney.
No, we share Sydney. Sydney is everyone's favorite young baller. But Elia Pilgrim made it 4-3 in the 54th minute with that massive rocket of a shot. I don't know. Can I just say, how does every pass that Giuliano make have so much like that pass? Let's say Winnie Heatley made that pass. Yeah, Elia Pilgrim is not running onto that ball. Is not winning that ball. Is not like it's just a ball that fizzles out for a goal kick. I'm not even joking. Manu plays it, and Elia Pilgrim turns it was like an incisive pass where Elia Pilgrim had to win the ball because Manu Giuliano had played the ball. It was insane. I always like a lot of people joke about look, I stopped playing FIFA because of this, but all those play styles and things, all the things in the game that made sure that if you made that incisive pass plus that the ball has to go to the player perfectly, it feels like Manu Giuliano in the Serie A Femminile has incisive plus. That ball over the top is just it was just insane. She had no right to get an assist out of that, and Elia Pilgrim had no right to turn that into a goal, and it just did. And you're 100% right. It is just so sad that Como puts up this absolutely standout performance and put on an absolute show, but it just sits them exactly where they were. They're in 8th, they were in 7th, and now they move down a little bit, and it could have been a moment where they go into that top 5, top 4 if they won that game, or even got a single point. If they shared the points with Roma, that would have sat them on 26 points. They would have been with Fiorentina, which would have been a big a big jump for them just to be ahead of Fiorentina and be in the striking distance of Napoli, Milan, and Lazio. This 4th to about 8th, the Femminile pack is very impressive, and I am excited to see how it will unveil.
I think it's disappointing for Como. They haven't picked up points basically since February 21st. Like, this is a
Far
team
out.
that has not had a fantastic run of form. And that's why I said that the likes of Chidiac, the standout players of this Como team, are basically let down by the system and the players around them that are letting them down. And that usually comes from the defense. I think in terms of Pilgrim, it's really funny that this game, like, all the goals happen in 54 minutes or something. 7 goals in 54 minutes is insane. But you were so right to mention that Giuliano bit, because I think that you have leaders on the park and you have people that you look up to, and then you have like difference makers that are just leaders. I think you can put Giuliano in the same like lens or in the same like basket as someone like Kim Little. Players in that Roma team, you don't have to be Italian, you don't have to be a Roma fan from birth, will die for Giuliano. Like, I genuinely believe that, because there are players there. Like Veens, I've seen Veens play. Like, girl does not make those runs for anyone else other than Giuliano. Dragoni, like, I'm sorry to say, Dragoni's not the most, like, she's the Lauren James of Italy. Like, she doesn't run for every ball.
She can
But
do it.
runs.
She can do it for games, but it's not like she's not week in, week out. Like
No, but she does it for
magisterial,
Giuliano.
yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think
100%.
it happens most honestly when they're down. Like, I think a Roma team that is down that have Giuliano in the park is such a dangerous prospect. And as I've said 1,000 times now, it's just so sad that they didn't do it in the Champions League, because Giuliano deserves a run in the Champions League. I think she does. And I think it's so disappointing that she's so loyal to Roma, because she should be in Champions League finals in terms of quarters and semis.
I do want to go back to Roma in the sense of that the highest performing players, like Nishla has the most goals for the team.
Yeah.
Chidiac has 3. She's second on the list. So they've just been a bit drought. They've been shy of a few goals this year. But in terms of like their ratings per game, other than Zara Kramzar, who's now left and is now chilling with, I believe, Everton at the moment, Chidiac is the highest rating of any player on average. So I think there is some proof in the pudding that she has become like a genuine starter, and you just can't really, like, I mean, she's been starting nearly every game for the last 6-7 weeks. So shout out to her, and shout out to Roma for holding on to those 3 points, and probably now eventual, I mean, it's 2-3 weeks away, probably the title, so not far away. It doesn't really matter that Juve is winning games and Inter is winning games, but we'll go through them very quickly. Juve played Firenze for the 4th time this year, because they played twice in the cup as well, in the Coppa Italia legs. Juve getting 2 winning all 4 of those games, I believe. I think they drew 1 maybe, but I think they didn't lose any of them, and this was another case of winning 2-1 away from home. Fiorentina had some moments with Yanogi and Omar's Dottir, but shout out to Juve's keeper Rusek, who was insane this game. Some of the saves she made in this game were just absolutely insane. The 13th minute is where Juve made their move, Vangsgaard on the left, who absolutely, I mean, you wrote in the prep doc, you said broke free of her marker, by the way. That is letting Van der Sanden go off so nicely, by the way. She murders her entire career. I'm going to give the credit. This is what she does. This is R.I.P. Van der Sanden. The cutback, she falls over in front of her. She could have pointed at her. That's what I would have done. I would have pointed at her, haha, and then played the ball across. It was a full-on ankle breaker. If that was in the WNBA, it would be a Sports Center top 10 moment. And if it was in the imagine if that was Rodman. If Rodman did that, we would be seeing that on She's a Baller everywhere. It would be in every highlight for the US women's national team for the next 4 months of her dropping someone. But because it's Vangsgaard, it'll just go into the Woso abyss of just beautiful moments. But she full on dropped the crap out of her and then plays Thomas in perfectly with the time run, headed her home 1-0. Fiorentina knocked at the door for a while, and then Omar's Dottir headed home this goal that was terrible. This is why Juve are third, by the way. This Lenzini Salvi getting caught ball watching, frozen, nothing Rusek can do, right? I wouldn't expect her to save a 5-yard out header with no one marking her, no pressure on the header. And then it was first half stoppage time where Juve got the lead. Well, we're trying to get the lead. We're pushing really hard. hard. Capetta's header gets cleared off the line by Yonogi, an amazing effort in many, many ways. And Yonogi has just been that pillar for Fiorentina in a lot of ways, just that outlet, the ability to transition the ball from forward to backward. In a better team, she'd probably... I was going to say she can play a lot more positions than Bernstein. She can play on the left, on the right. She can play through the middle. I even think she can play deeper, but it just depends on the team she's around. I wonder if she ends up getting a move somewhere or just holds out at Fiorentina, and Fiorentina building some more personnel for her. But it was just some moments that were a bit ridiculous that allowed Fiorentina in. Yonogi had that 5-yard shot out. She got first to the ball ahead of Salvi again, but Rusek pulls off that ridiculous right-footed save. It's just the intensity, the capacity to be first to the ball on those defensive efforts. And I know it's easy to say, I play futsal and I fucking miss every tackle and I'm dying and I'm in pain. But the reality is that they cop so many chances, Juve, and they are a very good defensive side. They have the best defensive record in the Serie A Femminile right now. But of their 12 goals they've copped this season, they've copped 4 in the last 4 games. So they are copping them now because they're copping higher volumes of shots. And it doesn't matter that they're the best defensive record in the league. The last 4 weeks, they're not. And they need to be holding out these wins with a bit more defensive nous. And they did end up taking the lead with some fortune. I mean, Valti had just put aura on that long shot and it just bounced off Salvi's foot. Salvi could have that moment 150 times and probably miss 149 of them. But she just hit her foot. It lobbed in. It's so lucky. Just bailed out by the god that is Leah Valti. And Fiorentina
it's ironic,
though. What? Why is it ironic?
Because, Valti had so many rumours last week. I mean, everyone was talking about that coming off at half-time and, contacting
she's got rumours this week. But she's got rumours this week to go back to Arsenal in a lot of ways. So I can't believe that. That would be a regression, I think, to me. Can I just say, not that she's not good enough. I just think it's always a weird look when you do the relapse, when you bring a player back. A lot of
players have done it. Yeah. It's a very Woso thing to do.
But Valti is not the answer. Valti is not what you need.
I don't think Valti is the answer. I just wouldn't be opposed to bringing her back because of this, because her professionalism, her class. I mean, it's one of those things.
Would you want
unmatched.
Valti if you had a choice between Valti or Reuteler? Who would you pick?
Genuinely, after this season, it's actually closer than you think.
No. I'm not saying it's not close. That's why I'm asking the question.
It's okay. A short aside. Yeah. I think it's hilarious that
who do you get more out of for the next 5 years?
Reuteler. But it's so hilarious to me that they're using 24, 25 highlights for Reuteler, knowing she's had a pretty crap season this year.
Well, and no, the second half. The 2026. Her 2026 has been bad. But the first... 25. No. But her first half of this season, of 2025-26, wasn't mid. It wasn't mid.
I'm going from an Arsenal perspective here. It's not. It wasn't Arsenal level. I said it then. I'll say it now. Valti, on the other hand, will always be Arsenal level. That's the thing. She will never dip until she retires. She will never dip to Arsenal level unless she breaks her leg, comes back, and is 2 yards slower. There is just a class there that is just undeniable.
Okay, what I will say, I agree that Reuteler didn't play to the level that she played at the Euros, right? The Euros was the best of Geraldine Reuteler that we saw, right? 100%. Her in Group A, absolutely chefing up, Finland, Ireland. She had an all right game against Norway, I'd say. It wasn't fantastic, but then came back to the league, pulled out some pretty good performances, had a hat trick, had a few GA this season. Isn't doing bad by any means. It's pretty comparable to last season. It's not necessarily the same in a lot of ways, but also it's testament to Frankfurt not being to that level as well and her not having the support. I would argue that Geraldine has a lot to prove, and then her versatility. I think Valti, you know exactly what you're going to get from her. Reuteler has been shafted everywhere in this season. She's played up front. She's played on the left. But she's been playing on the right recently. I think she's a 10, and she gets played. She gets played on the right. She gets played in defensive midfield when they need her. It's a bit insane the amount like shoehorning that gets done to her,
But
whereas
top
Arsenal would
teams
actually like polish her.
No, I disagree. I think
Interesting.
top teams need players that are good everywhere. And I think this is my Arsenal chauvinism. I want the best players. And I think that it's not crazy to say that like I don't want a 25-year-old plus player who's inconsistent versus Smilla Holmberg, who I was like genuinely thinking about like how is she gonna fit in? But I was like, but she's 18. Like, like this is a player that's it's the same as Imade, by the way, 25. Like these
Yeah,
players are in their quote unquote primes.
yeah,
Volti is not in her quote unquote prime.
yeah.
She's past her
Beyond
prime,
it, yeah.
but she's still pulling out player of the match performances. And I think that it's absolutely a testament to her character.
No,
She
she
had
has
so much
match
noise
winning. She has
around her.
match winning
She
moments,
had
not
so
player of
much
the.
noise
She's not
around
player,
her
but
this
she's
week.
not player of the match winning. That you've.
She was in this game. She was player of the match.
No, no, no. I know she was, but if you ask me, you're watching that game. I think there are a lot of players you could have picked to have player of the match. Firstly, Rusek was player of the match. Without
Okay,
Rusek,
sure.
they don't
Rusek
win
was
this.
yeah, sure.
They don't win this game without her, 100%. But my thing with Valti is she's not going to get player of the match for Arsenal. She's going to have moments for Arsenal. That's
I just think
that's what you're getting her for to close
you're
out games,
underestimating
to
her.
win FA Cup games against Brighton.
You're putting her
Sure,
on the same
but
level of like Laura Coombs when she's not. She's not on the
no,
same.
no,
She's on
no,
the same
no, no,
level
no,
as like
no, no,
Kim
no.
Little. Like seriously.
No, she's not. No, 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 no,
Yes,
no.
she is. Yes,
You
she
have to
is.
find a middle ground between those
No,
two.
she's the
She's
same level
not.
as Kim Little. She
Kim
also
Little.
offers
Kim Little
coaching
is
experience,
no.
managerial experience, leadership, all these things
No, no,
that
no.
you
She
as a City
offers.
fan
She offers
don't
those
take
things.
into consideration because it's not part of your
No,
philosophy. Like
no,
it's just not.
no, no, no. Okay. Firstly, we do have leaders on the pitch. We do have leaders that come
It's
off the bench.
okay, but
I agree.
it's not
She's
the
not.
same.
She's not the same as Laura Coombs. I 100% agree with that. But to put her anywhere near the realm of Kim
Yeah.
Little is
I'm
a
doing-
disgrace. It's a disgrace.
You don't
That's a
understand. As an
disgraceful
Arsenal
take.
fan, Leah Volti is like she was at the pinnacle of her time with us. I've seen the best of
Sure.
Leah Volti.
When
I've seen
was
the
that?
leadership
How
of Leah
long
Volti.
ago?
It doesn't matter. She's
It
still
does.
performing at that level. But she
No.
is in this game. She is the same as she was during her Arsenal time. She was.
I think she will have I think she will have moments. I think she will do good things. It's just about the ability to do it week in, week out for a team that requires different results, different things. I understand that we're not talking about a 30-year-old, we're talking about a 32-year-old, and look, I think she will be able to deliver 7 out of 10 performances for Arsenal, sure, 100%. But to say that to compare her to Kim Little in the impact on the pitch, in the ability to control, pull teams out of holes, it's not that. It's more similar, in my opinion, to a midfield version of Cody than it is to a midfield version of Leah Williamson. It's not that.
You would never deny Luka Modric goes back to Real Madrid. I would never deny Leah Volti coming back to Arsenal.
Luka Modric won a Ballon d'Or.
I don't care. I don't care.
Leah Volti, if she's been nominated for a Ballon d'Or, I'd be surprised. I personally think that it is like I agreed with the first thing, that it is closer than I think. It's just about the ambition of Renee, and going back, relapsing to the players that you used to have, I still think is never the right thing to do.
Champions
personally.
League winner, by the way. But
No, yeah, Champions League winner. I don't disagree. I mean, if you ask Alessia and Leah, Kim Little should have 5. Kim Little should have 5. So tell me where those hypothetical 4 come in, and if it's Leah Volti who's going to win all 4 of them. But maybe with Leggy's pseudo 11 of Little, Valti, Russo, Emily Fox, they'll win the Leggy Dior. They'll all win the Leggy Dior together. But we went a bit off topic there. We'll go to Inter versus Lazio, a 7-goal game split, 5-2. I mean, this was too easy as Baltrip tripped. No, it wasn't tripped. She got a deflected handball because Detroit crossed it to her, into her arm, and then Tessa Valhert, the return, comes back, scores her penalty in 3 minutes. Where were you, Tessa? I want to know. I wish we all want to know. But she's now.
I'm telling you, it'd be crazy if like her dad died or something.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Last week I was like, I said DVD. Now it doesn't matter. You lost the game. It's over. Yeah. The game is done. But she is now the all-time leading goal scorer for the Inter Milan as a foreign player with
Yeah,
27 goals, and if
27.
she
Yeah.
stays next year, I reckon it's another 20 added to that. But like she's just
Fair
too
enough.
good. I don't know if she's too good for the league, but she's just too good in general, and she's just fantastic. And there was some great defensive efforts from Inter to stop a barrage of Lazio strikes, and then Lena Magul doubled the lead with a ridiculous right foot, opening up the foot into the crossbar and in top right corner. Buhega assist as well. Look, it's not a near post equaliser versus England in a Euros final, but it is still a great finish and adds to Lena Magul's immense catalogue of goals.
Yeah.
Kind of similar to Fran Kirby in a lot of ways, not necessarily the volume, but just serial, serial class. And then Detroit added the third, capping off a really nice move from Merlos's ball to Detroit. 3 in 26 minutes is what I expect Inter to do. They are really just the Real Madrid of the Feminile in the sense of they're only able to do it against weaker opposition, and just when the games that matter, they lose at home, they lose away. It's kind of really sad. But the game wasn't over because Lazio hit back. Labihan struck with an absolute perler of a strike that gave Runarsdottir no chance in the top left corner. But then it was another chance in the 57th minute where Olivero, this is goal of the week by a mile. This is in the vein of the Papis Cisse's of the world. This is the, I'm trying to think of an outside of the foot perler, a Cancelo, a Quaresma. I need a Woso example. Who's an outside of the foot Woso merchant? I'm trying to think. No, there's not many. It's not really an out. Viv did it for Netherlands. I remember in that South Korea game, but I see Viv do the outside of the foot lofted ball, but I can't think of one. Maybe. What's her name? Also the Dutch Spitzer probably has done an outside of the foot strike for the Dutch, but this is goal of the week. This strike is, and the Vansgaard moment where she chops her up is cold, but this is Papis Cisse level. This is a crazy volley into the top right corner. Keeper had no chance. It's 3-2, but then the subs came in. Piovani, Inter manager, brings on the big three for Inter and Tomaselli, Gliona and Santi. And look, Lebian crossed it to Olivero, who was free at the far post. Probably should have scored it, missed it, heartbreak. And then we had the moment where Inter look to go, and this is what happens when Valert gets through her stride. They push hard, they push aggressively, they pack the midfield in, even though they're playing that pseudo 5 at the back, pseudo 3 at the back. But it was Detroit's pressing, forcing that weird ricochet outside the area, falls to Tomaselli, strikes to make it 4-2. It's too easy for the super sub here to seal the game, basically. And then the fifth goal to really end the game off was Gliona beating Olivero with a fine piece of skill and then whipping it across. It left the keeper helpless. I thought that Polly got the touch in, so because the ball, the keeper couldn't get in, then it hit the post and then was rolling along the line, and I thought Polly got the finishing touch, but they actually gave it to Gliona, so I think it did go over the line before Polly could she did put her foot on it, but it was too late to get the GA for herself to stat pad her way to glory. But Inter did match that Roma win, but they're still 6 points behind the league leaders. I actually think it's nearly more than that. It's just the way in which they're winning games is a lot more suspicious. It's not like they're killing off teams, and obviously Roma are finding ways to do it in a different multitude of ways, but the reality is that it doesn't matter how Roma win games, and it does matter how Inter win games, in the sense of that Roma have Juve now. This is the big moment. If Roma cop this loss and Juve beat them, then we have a real race, but I don't see that happening, especially with Inter playing Genoa at the bottom of the table. I think Inter will plop them, and then they could be 3 points behind. Who knows? And then that goal difference really comes into fruition, as Inter Milan have been scoring goals for fun this entire season. So I do wonder how it ends up, but I mean, we'll get to that Roma-Juve game when we get there, and it's an exciting precedent.
It's kind of I'm always going to give this example when it's a tie, 6 points, 3 points.
Yeah, six. Yeah, it's a 6-pointer.
It's just always
Well, it's not, because Juve aren't in it, so it's
No.
just a title. It's kind of a title decider, I guess.
It's just always like the Arsenal City Menso 22-23 for me, where it's like the idealism ball of Inter versus just the experience and the maturity in that late stage run of Roma, where they just dismantled Inter when they played them. They've dismantled Juve as well. And it's just the fact that I think this season is Inter season. I think they'll do the double this season. And I think that this
You
will
mean Roma season? Roma
yeah,
season.
Roman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I
yeah, yeah.
think that, and I honestly, I think that this is going to be a bit of a stepping stone. And as I mentioned earlier, I hope that this is a stepping stone in Europe as well.
Yeah, we'll see. I still think that Juve will do the domestic cup double. I think they'll win the Coppa Italia, and then Roma might win the league, and then it'll leave a lot to be desired that they only end up with one trophy, and Inter
Yeah.
end up with none, but are in
But Inter came
the.
third last season. Like I'm just saying, like this is a big
No, it's a
difference from
big
a side
move.
that
It's
was
a big move, and
underwhelming.
Juve would be without the UCL as well, which would be crazy if
Interesting,
they end
yeah.
up third, and then Juve would be going for the title, probably going for the domestic treble in a lot of
Bit of
ways
a city
because
moment.
they
Yeah.
should be able to do it. Yeah, exactly. It does happen. You do have to fall to rise in some ways, and I think that's like we needed to have that managerial change. We needed to have that moment where we do fall short in order
Mm,
to look at what we should be, and then now we are that. But
yeah.
that ends our chat about the Feminile as we move into Leggy's NWSL watch.
Yeah, it was a crazy week in any other league if what happened this week would have been in like Europe or in Australia, but this is just a very standard NWSL week. We had a lot of penalties this week. We had what I would say is a reestablishment of the guard in terms of like teams that I would expect to win are finally getting their footing, finally getting the wins. We didn't have many upsets this week. We had a very interesting game, and then we had the first loss of a team, and then we also had the first win of a team. So that's, it was a fun little round. I'll start off with Orlando and Angel City because
Yes,
Orlando handed Angel City their first
damn
loss of the
straight.
season,
Yeah,
thanks
see,
to
they're
Hayley
frauds. Or
McCutcheon.
I'm already there for it. They're fraud watch.
Fair enough. They've already dropped to what, second? I think San Diego is first now.
Damn
Um,
straight.
but I just want to touch on a few points in this game. I think Barbara Banda, I think she had a real standout game this game. I think she facilitated a lot of chances. She facilitated the first goal. I think Giselle Thompson, I mean, we've absolutely harassed the Thompson sisters on this podcast. It's funny that she has pretty really come into
No,
her own.
she's a good player. I don't have any issue. I've never like again. You only harass who is good. You don't
Fair
kick
enough.
players when they're down. I mean we do, but
Definitely. Yeah.
we definitely do. But Giselle Thompson is a good player. It's just the question of like again. I remember Emma Hayes talking about the three Thompson sisters in the She Believes Cup interviews, and she was talking about what it means to have the expectation on you as the younger sister of a player, but also it's hard to be that, but also Giselle Thompson plays that role relatively well in the sense of just being able to run herself on that right side. She runs hard. The Thompson sisters are natural athlete background, so it's easy to run the game the way she has. She probably I don't know if she should have like her goal was very well
This
taken.
was funny.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is funny. I don't know if you've heard of this term, a double doink. This is what I heard
A
on
double
comms.
doing.
A double doink goal, which is
There's a
basically
reason
hitting
why
the
I've never heard
post.
it. It's an American term.
Yeah,
There's
if
no
they,
way.
she
Look at
hit the
me. I'm
post.
wearing my British hat today. I'm anti-Yank as it gets, by the way.
Fair
And
enough.
hashtag Holly McClutchan. That's what I'm talking about. I know it's Haley McClutchan, but in my head it's Holly McNamara. It's the Yank
Fair enough.
Namara in a lot of ways. This is the Yank Namara, and she's absolutely buried that
Yeah.
chance. And then what was it, 98th,
Yeah,
97th
and all
minute?
thanks to Marta's corner, which, by the way, she has done. She did
Always.
it last
Yeah,
season.
last year I remember. I
Yep,
remember you
yep.
filmed it as well. You like
Yeah, I
sent it to me. You're like, this
know.
is
I know.
going in. This is
Yeah,
exactly what's going to
and I
happen.
called it this
But
time as
Marta
well.
didn't get an assist for that, and neither did Banda for her goal because they were like
Really?
deflected. They don't count as
Yeah, I
like
hate when
direct
that. I think
assists.
I've said this on the podcast before. I think that it should count if it's intended, like it
I
kind of
mean,
like an own goal. If
we
it's
both think
intended,
that we both think that because you love Mesut Ozil and I love De Bruyne. That's why, because we both think they deserved 21 assists. But yes, Orlando, my pride for them. I like Orlando, and I don't like Angel City that much. I mean,
fair enough.
BMO Stadium goes hard, but I'm glad Orlando could do it at the Inter and Co Stadium.
I wanted to
Beautiful.
go on to two teams that I rarely talk about. So you know when I mention them, it's for a reason.
Oh wow.
Houston and Racing Louisville.
The
Just like
dash.
just the drudgeons of the NWSL. The teams that if in a trivia, like if you ask like name all the NWSL teams of like 25, 26, these are the two teams people would forget,
Last
right?
two. They're the last
Because
two.
they're always like just mediocre, but this game was like nothing but mediocre. Their joint mediocrity was cancelled out, and it was like came with a 7 goal thriller. Of course,
Slay.
four penalties in this game, just four, just
Oh my
casually four
god.
penalties in this
Jesus. So it's
game.
a shootout. It's just a
Yeah,
shootout.
basically, it was incredible. I like
Wow.
to shout out Taylor Flint, baller by the way, Taylor Flint, USA baller. I don't know if she'll make it on the plane, but she's good. She is the first player since Alex Morgan back in 2022 to convert two penalties in the same game, and I think that's really awesome.
Wow.
Every
Wait,
time I think,
that's a long time. That's a
yeah,
like for only two pens. That's surprising. Is
in
that
the
like
same
a
game.
is that endemic of like a lack of? I feel like there are a lot of pens in the NW. Like didn't it get joked about last year that they're the pen WSL?
Yeah, well, it is the 10 WSL, but I
Yeah.
think a lot of times people take penalties like they're not the same penalty
They just
taker.
they shifted
They
over.
share it,
They
but
one and done. One and
also
done.
when I think of penalties and Alex Morgan, I always think about the fact that on her last game in the
Yeah, she
NWSL,
didn't she miss a
she
pen?
missed
Yeah.
a penalty, and I was watching it live and I laughed, and it was so sad,
Unreal.
but I laughed.
That's yeah.
Um,
But
but
is this not this 7 goal thriller? Is this
mm,
not reminiscent of our like? I mean, it's just like one of those games that happened like that turns into a shootout. I think of like the Merseyside derby we just had in the
yeah,
WSL, where it's like it's two teams. Like, oh, look, the Dash haven't started the season poorly. They've started off quite well, but I think they are like. Is it just like we're being a bit reactionary with Houston a little bit?
I think Houston are overachieving because we don't expect anything from Houston. I want to shout out Kalissa Vance Zanton, who has doubled her goals in 4 games this season in comparison to the 2 goals she got in 17 matches last season. So they
Wow.
have some standout ballers that you would not expect. Like these are not ballers. She's Jamaican. These are not ballers that you're, rolling off the tongue when you're talking about the NWSL. They just have like a solid structure. I think Racing Louisville, they're still trying to get their first win. This is a
Both
team.
both these teams have scored 6 goals in their last five
Yeah.
matches and then scored 4 and 3. So they put their like their hegemonies aside and they decided, you know what? Let's
Yeah,
put on a show. Let's not put
it's
on a
awesome.
nil-nil
It's awesome.
NWSL. Yeah, that's what we
No, it's
need.
awesome.
A little bit
Um,
more equity in the league.
yeah, but I think
Yeah.
anything for Houston, I mean, they're coming up from like 10th last season. So anything for them that is, I think they're in the top six already. So anything for them is good in
100%.
comparison to KC Current, who are expecting to do a treble of championships, if you like. And this game against Gotham, I mean, you don't expect anything else. A Gotham versus KC Current game, a preview of the Champions Cup. I love the Champions Cup. I
Yeah,
love it
yeah,
because
you shill that. I mean, it was a good
it's
turnout. It
fun,
was a packed out stadium
packed
at the
out.
stadium at in Kansas City, but also like I mean, Chewinga's back. This is it. This is the moment.
Yeah.
She played the
Jaden
first
Shore
half.
is back. Yeah.
I don't know if she played the whole first half. I don't know if she got injured or had like a little niggle as well. Like
I
that's
don't
yeah,
know.
she did
She's
come
not
off,
playing
but
against Malawi. That's all
Chewinga,
I
yeah,
know.
but yeah, that both Chewinga's sisters are not playing against Malawi
Mm.
against
Oh
Australia
yeah.
for Malawi,
Mm.
which means that we should beat them 85-0,
Yeah.
but I don't
True.
know if that will happen. But it was good to see. I did say it when Chewinga's back, takes the pressure off Sentinel, takes the pressure off
Yeah.
Dabinia and Cooper, and their front four delivered on all fronts, I
Yeah.
think.
To be fair, I mean, I think we underrate people like Dabinia, people like Cooper, but they show up. And I think, we have to respect the fact that, Dabinia is now on 80 goals in this
Yeah,
competition.
80's
He's only
crazy.
two
That's
behind
nuts.
Lindy and Dolo. The problem is though, is that if Sam Kerr is going back to the NWSL, you just know she's going to score a bucket of
Yeah,
goals
yeah.
and she's just going to
I
extend
don't
it.
want. Yeah, I don't want to see. I don't. It's going to be so annoying when she's just. I think she's gone back to reclaim the throne in a lot of ways.
She said
It
that.
is.
Didn't she say
It
that when
is
she
the
re-signed for Chelsea? She was like,
yeah,
"Well, I'm not going to leave you on 99." And I was like,
yeah,
"Shut
yeah.
up."
The
Anyway,
takeover.
anyway, I want to shout out Emily Sonnet in this game. She became the 18th person in league history to play 15,000 regular season minutes, which is
Far
mental,
out.
which
That's
is
a lot of
crazy.
minutes.
Emily Sonnet is, I think there was a lot of debate about this last year. Why didn't she make team of the season? She had the most accurate passes from the back. She was obviously so solid. She's one of those players that's just like perpetually overlooked. You've talked about her being one of your favorite like Yanks defenders because
She's
like
just
she's just
she's just gonna
solid.
be it. It's gonna be
Yeah.
her and Germa. It's always her and Germa, and no one's gonna knock those two out of that position, in my opinion.
Mm. I want to move on to the Bay versus Washington because this goal, the game, the goal in this game, the first goal in this game is like easily a shoe-in for NWSL moment of the season. I just want to run you through it.
Okay,
So
go for it.
it's substitute Mater, right? Number 26. She's a defensive fullback. She gets the ball. She completely dodges her corresponding fullback Denton, right? Pushes her aside. And then there was a calamity of mistakes whereby I believe Corntel, the centre back, passes it back to her goalkeeper. The goalkeeper passes it back to her, and because of the weight of pass back to her, she kicks it over into the goal, a full looping over into the opposite side of the goal. And it's one of those.
Dare I say, Marto or Dom?
Yeah, I was just about to say it's one of those moments where like you know that debate that's happening in online where it's like we hate showing like really bad highlights of women's football that quote unquote look good because it makes the sport overall look terrible. This is one of those moments. Like I never want to see this on like Instagram reels. Like this
It
is
will
not
be
what I
there.
want to be seeing.
We will be
No,
there. We will
no,
be
because
there.
oh no, it's just so terrible because this game like was pretty boring other than that. I mean, I think Jurelli had like 70 minutes of basically doing nothing, no offense to her. I
Oh,
think
brutal.
Rodman in and of herself is just like perpetually underwhelming this season. And I'm just going to keep blaming her back because if it's not that, then I'll get like absolutely like hounded by people saying she's the best player in the world.
Oh,
But
but she is
Kouassi,
leggy. She is.
oh, I
She
forgot.
just
Yeah.
wait for her to be back.
But
Or
it's her
wait.
back, Ben.
Sorry,
It's her
sorry.
back.
Sorry. I forgot. I forgot a word in that. Wait for her new back. She will come back with a new back, and then
Sure.
she'll do an Instagram post saying, "I'm back,"
I'm
and it's
back.
just a photo of her back, and it's like, or like she should have like a back that like she just has like an S-shaped spine, so she's Superwoman, yeah, and she celebrate when she scores, she celebrates with the S, yeah, that's what she needs to do. Like, I am Rodman, I am
Um,
Rodman.
Um,
um,
Claire Hutton in
yeah,
this game, baller.
baller,
Like she's way
yeah.
too good for Bay FC.
She's too good for America.
True. She should come. She's
Come
genuinely like the next Sam Coffey.
yeah,
Genuinely.
yeah. Come to England. We'll take
But
her.
Kouassi was incredible in this game. Real
Nice.
standout.
Sick.
Quick fun facts to end it off. Seattle's 0-0 draw against Denver was very underwhelming, except Denver's keeper Abby Smith kept it locked down for the third straight game, making the Summit the first team to make 3 consecutive clean sheets in their first 5 games of the
Wow.
NWSL season. Pretty impressive. Pretty
Crazy.
good for a team that's just been introduced into the league.
Yeah,
And
compared to the
then
legacy, I mean,
true. And I was just about to mention
yeah.
them.
Are you about to mention the
Yeah.
legacy? Oh no,
Yeah,
here we go.
because
What?
look, we haven't mentioned them since the start of the season,
Oh,
but
we
San
mentioned them
Diego.
last week. We mentioned them
No,
last week. The
I was
Utah game. Yeah.
no, we haven't mentioned some. I was talking about San Diego because
Ah,
San
okay, yes.
Diego
The
we haven't
wave.
mentioned them.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry. The
and
wave.
you haven't done that all season. I've been waiting for that.
No, yeah, the wave.
No, but San Diego has standout season so far. They're first. They've been scoring goals for days, and SD have earned their fourth straight win for the first time in club history, which is awesome.
Nice.
And they're at the top of the table, as I said.
Top of the
And
league.
another fun fact is that Boston is still shit. So, I mean, they're
It's so
perpetually
fun.
terrible.
It's so
They're
fun.
so bad.
Oh no.
I saw this incredible post just to round it off. I saw this incredible post by a TikToker
Yeah.
who was like, I love introducing like new women's teams. You know, the feminist in me loves it, but more so because it's just more opportunity for me to get wags, be a wag. And I thought that was hilarious. And I think that as many teams as get added in, as the more women are being showcased to us, and the more just there are going to be more wags. So there you go.
I mean, they just need another centre half. Like, I think Karabali.
We need another like centre half, striker, midfielder, potentially
No,
coach.
wait. Traore's not too bad. I think Traore will get the moments, but and also look, Nichelle Prince is not like again. past her prime in a lot of ways, but she's not a bad player. Had moments for current in her myriad of 2 seasons. Not a lot of moments, but it hasn't been the same since she moved from the dash. But I still think Nichelle Prince is a player that can win you 6 or 7 points a season. And then Karabali is a player that I think is a good team to build a spine around, and I hope that they can get that midfield mix right. They are relatively young in the midfield. I feel like they don't have like that experience. Like, I don't know, you're coming up against Ken Zadali, and Ken Zadali's been around Woso for probably longer than some of these players have been alive. Like, it's not they just need one more player in the middle who can just like provide that like semblance of safety in the middle. And I think, I don't know, I'd be looking at, if I'm Boston Legacy, you want to go for true legacy, go the Kang route. Go get some 30-year-olds, 32-year-olds to pack in the midfield and make sure there's a little bit of safety in there.
I think Ludmilla, just to quickly sign on FSD wave, Ludmilla, she's had 5 solid games. She got her first goal for San Diego. I think I was really skeptical because she came from Chicago Stars. She wasn't fantastic. She scored 10 goals last season, so it was pretty decent. But I thought, how are you going to fit that center attacking role? Like, it's going to be a tough spot for San Diego. She's done very well, and I think her goal to get the 1-0 win over Boston was pretty decent. Yeah, that's all we have. Again, if you want to see the rest of the results, go online, go on YouTube.
Yeah, they're there. We cover this league, so actually we cover this league, so you don't have to. So you don't even have to look it up online. But that is all we have for Leggies NWSL Watch. As we move to the Southern Hemisphere, we move to the final week of the regular season. We did talk about this game just from a result standpoint.
You called it, by the way.
But we had victory victory Bunge header, the Dogzo Bunge doing the absolute business, and victory finishing in the league exactly where we predicted them to finish, in the playoffs, in the fringes, exactly where you expect them to be, because that is you. That is the underdog Arsenal leggy mentality. Finish 6th and win the lot. Why don't you? But we'll get there when we get there. Let's talk about the Perth game. They probably should have scored. That was the Gabby Hollar moment, the Ella Abdul Masih. When that went in and they got called offside, how are you feeling for this game?
I mean, I was like, it's deja vu all over again with Sydney. Just like the same calamity of errors. It's like, it's the same thing over and over again, like exposing us out the back, transitional football, our midfield being absolutely nowhere, our defense being disjointed. And I think you have to give credit to Perth. And I think one of the reasons I came into this game quite nervous was because it's Perth at home. And, Perth at home, it's a whole nother country, apparently. So, this is a fortress for Perth, and they really pride themselves on getting results at home.
Mate, don't tell Wellington about this Perth fortress. How dare you? Far out. Don't tell Perth about the Wellington fortress. It's basically overseas, but my
it
God.
is overseas.
But it didn't matter because Dogzo Bunge took the red eye and she did the business with that header. That's a great header. That was from the successive corner as well. That was 2 corners in a row, and they didn't look too safe. And Theresa Morrissey got caught out at that back post, and it was a good header through the traffic. It was destined for greatness, destined for goal, destined for Bunge to keep you in the running. Is there anything in that second half that you thought was alarming? It was just like, after that, it was a pretty isolated, flat game, I guess.
We managed. Holly Furphy probably should have gotten a goal in that second half. I think that Theresa Morrissey was like just as good as she has been all season, despite the goal. I just have to shout out the fact that we haven't finished this low since the introduction of the top 6, and that's since 2022. So I'm very disappointed in us as a season. I think we came into the season, we picked up Taylor Way, we picked up Policina, we picked up Kennedy White, we picked up others, and we have been worse than we were last season. And yes, we had a good season last season. We came second. But in terms of setting ourselves up, we're going to have to play 3 games to get to a final. No, 3 ties to get to a final, including the double-legged of the semi-final. In comparison to someone like City, you guys are cruising. I'm finding every step to be just a struggle.
Yeah, look, there are games where we get away with it, and I mean, we'll get to our game soon, and that is a game where we definitely got away with it. We had no right to win it, and we do, but I don't know, I think you aren't there yet, but it's also based on the fact that you're shoehorning, like your expectations for players have not delivered in certain ways. I think Polly has delivered, but also Polly goes missing in some games and gets caught out and gets doubled up on. Kennedy White was starting this season, all guns are blazing up front. Now she's been shoehorned to the side and then inverts and no, I think she did. She did. No. She was on the right. She was on the right. She was on the right. Yeah. So
O'Grady started at the top.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing is like she's been moved to the right because of the lack of ability to continue her work that she had at the start of the season throughout the whole season.
She just became like nothing basically in the center of the park.
Exactly right. And that's a big issue where you're going to have signings that don't just benefit you but benefit the players around you. And I feel like Polly can do that, but I feel like Kennedy White has hampered a bit of the Rachel Lows and the O'Grady's of the world.
No, Rachel Lowe has hampered us. I'm sorry, Rachel Lowe has hampered us.
Yeah, I mean that's a different conversation that I will not get into. It's not my team, but I'll talk about my team getting it over the line against the Jets. Look, the Jets did us absolutely dirty at our own home ground. They beat us 3-1, so we needed to get back in this. But did I have faith with a 46-year-old Mel B in goal? No, not that Mel B. Not Spice Girl, Sporty Spice. This is Sporty Barbieri. That's who it is. But Melissa Barbieri in goal. I wasn't too confident that we'd get something over the line. Look, shout out to Barb's City legend, but you're supposed to be the Scott Carson of the team. You're supposed to be the one who never plays, and you know what? She didn't play badly. She didn't play too badly. I think the goal she conceded was probably what I expected her to concede, especially after making a really good save in the 11th minute on Molina's shot. But it was to no avail because Melina Ayres basically went on a moment where she said, I could take on all of you myself, and she took on Stott, she took on Rosbach, and she took on Hughes. She played it with Kelly Brown as a 1-2 interplay and then beat Barbs at her near post. They went 1-0 up early in the second half. It's her 8th goal against Melbourne City, by the way, and no Selly as well. So clearly some #respect from Melina, former Melbourne City player. That's why.
Also former Melbourne Victory player.
Yeah. She just doesn't celebrate against anyone that she's ever played against. No, she definitely celebrated against Victory. But I think she started at
every player, right? She's scored against every team now.
That would be unsurprising. I mean, it wouldn't have changed anything when she played us, but I'm sure she's been around the dub for so long. She started at City, so it's like the whole thing is, I think that she probably has a better affinity with Victory, but I think in terms of her legacy at Victory, and I remember her what was her loan? She had a loan spell away and then came back and then absolutely chefed for Victory for that what was that, the 22-23 season? But yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, the City is more like a respect thing for that. That was her start, I guess. But we had a few moments in that first half. Letitia McKenna smashes the ball into the crossbar. Otto's follow-up header. Have to score that. Don't know how you missed that. Put that wide. But the second one was another McKenna set piece that forced a good save from Ali B, their goalkeeper. Otto blocked a really good chance from Kelly Brown as we looked so rocked and directionless for about an hour and 15 minutes of this game. And then Jackson's deflected effort hit the crossbar. Another moment just after that crossbar hit was Davidson's header that also hit the crossbar. Huge scramble dealt with by the Jets. I thought 3 crossbar hits, Barbieri in goal. We lost this game. It doesn't really matter. We've won the league anyway. But it wasn't meant to be. So we had the 72nd minute, we had a ball from Rosbacken to Aideen Keane, who fires it first time in the roof of the net near post for the equaliser. I was like, you know what? We'll take shared points. That's pretty fair. They get 4 points on us. It's a pretty good bogey team to have. But the scenes in a 97th minute of a 95-minute game. Yes, you heard that right.
We didn't have to win.
Yeah, we didn't have to win. The game should have just been whistled if the ref did their job how they should have. But the dub is so silly sometimes. And Rosbacken's Hail Mary ball, Ali B butterfingered straight through her hands, and it left 34-year-old Danielle Turner at the back post alone, heads in the goal, her first goal of the season, her first goal for City in the last game of the regular season into an open net, the winner against all odds, no right to score it, and then does the shush for the winner
Against
as
Newcastle?
well against Newcastle. It didn't even matter. They're not even in the playoffs. It's such an insult to injury. Just the scenes, the only way we know how to rub salt in the wounds, to send them 7 feet under. We can go home, back to home of the Matildas, and just chill out for a little bit.
Home of the Matildas?
I don't know. We can play Casey Fields. Yeah,
Fields.
but we can play home of the Amy Park. We're going to be playing our finals there probably. But yeah, we take that. We take a crazy upset win. Like it's. Yeah, very
upset win. They're ninth, Ben.
No. But we were 1-0 down with Barbieri in goal.
Matter.
It's not an upset. Fine. Comeback win, sure. But contextually, it was not like if you had the odds of that happening that late on in the game, the way it happened, I don't think it's like entirely
it's more
ridiculous.
Heartbreaking for Newcastle.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, but what they know a lot about heartbreak, so they can manage that.
That's
and another team that knows a lot about heartbreak now would be Central Coast Mariners.
Freaking karma.
Karma for what? Karma for
last year, man.
Karma for
I can't believe I'm on your
Rasmussen.
side about this.
Yeah. No, well, it's not. I mean, it's not karma. This is what happens to every team that wins, right? They just decide to not be in the finals the next year and test their luck. Yeah. It's not the way to go. And Sydney, I'm so annoyed. Sydney avoid the wooden spoon with the nil-nil draw.
Well.
Western Sydney's last 2 months, they did not deserve that.
They won against Wellington.
This is your fault because you let a Panama international dunk on you last week. That's the problem. I'd blame me entirely your fault. If you won that game, you would have finished fourth. You would have finished in fourth, and Sydney FC would be bottom of the table.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks because I had to go for Sydney in this game because Central Coast had to win. If Central Coast had won, then they would have dethroned us in that
being forced to go for a sky blue team.
I know, it was terrible.
It's horrendous.
And the fact that the game, like, if you watched the game, it wasn't a good game either. So you're like actually watching 90 minutes of an objectively terrible game, and you know that Central Coast were just like they were riding on desperation, which is never the type of football you want to play, especially against the Sydney FC side that I think were motivated by the fact that they had just beaten Melbourne Victory. They weren't outplayed. This is not like a Sydney FC were like, backs against the wall situation. It just happened to be that Central Coast didn't have that edge, and they do miss Rasmussen. I think that we can finally say it. Having missed the final, they miss Rasmussen. I don't know how many minutes she's got for Juve, if any. She will be back.
I think 3 minutes. She will be back. Yeah, there's no reason why she shouldn't get recalled. But like, you lose the confidence after going like that. Like, it's not.
Her and how many other players, Ben?
Yeah,
like her
exactly.
And how many others.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of cruel that I don't think she's gotten any minutes in the league at all, and her last game, was for Brisbane Roar. So she hasn't had a game since that brace against Brisbane, and now they've missed out, and you're not going back to anything valuable. But the Knicks got their place in the semi-final with a great win over Adelaide. We did talk a little bit about it last week from a result standpoint, but Brooke Nunn doing the business. Vandermeer, I don't know how she's ended up on the sheet, but she did, and I mean, it just shows a level. I think Adelaide were the form side going into this like last month of the league, but Wellington have just been better for longer this season.
They haven't won in 5 games, Adelaide. This is the thing.
I know, but like no. So the last 4, the last 4 they've had this drop off, but before that they were the form side.
They were in good form,
yeah. And the Knicks have kind of been that steady ship. I know they lost the last 2 before this game to Central Coast and to Western Sydney. Yeah. So like they did cop a few, but I do back them to hold their own. But also they are on the wrong side of the draw in a sense because.
Do you reckon? They've already beaten the team that they potentially were going up against. I don't think Brisbane will actually beat Adelaide.
I think Brisbane will beat Adelaide. I think Brisbane are the form side going into this final, and I think Adelaide are gettable. They've proven. I think the Knicks have proven that Adelaide are gettable, and if the Brisbane front 4 is on, then they can easily have a go at home as well. They're higher seed. They will definitely make sure that Adelaide make a hard time of it, and I think it will be so that's probably the more interesting final. Obviously, UV Canberra is a fun game, and it's more like a capital city rivalry. But
no, it's the original derby.
It
really.
is, the original derby. Sure, every
It
game of yours is an original
No,
thing,
it's not.
an original
It is.
this,
It's
an
the
original that.
Westfield
the
W
Big
League
Blue
derby.
or the original rivalry or the
Just 'cause
original
we're an
derby.
established team with history.
Every game of yours is a new label, and the label is victory loss. That's what my label is, or victory draw. But this is what you thrive on. You thrive on being underdogs. You thrive on throwing it out, and then we will. I mean, I just hope you win so we get a Melbourne semi-final, and I just think that will be so entertaining. You'll get a good crowd as well at Amy Park for that game.
It should be played both sides at Amy Park. I would hate for like one game to be played at Casey and then like one.
That would be disgraceful. That would be absolutely disgraceful. Just play both at Amy Park. Just have them one be home and one. Yeah, double header. Exactly right. But I expect Brisbane to go through against Adelaide, and then Brisbane v Nix, and I expect the Nix to win. And I expect us to beat them, and I think 1v2 will be the final, unless you guys aura farm your way there, which would be so. Yeah,
I can't say quadruple, but I can say cup.
I don't expect you to not back yourselves. You're not like me, where I'm realistic. Like I nearly called the Asia Cup final perfectly. Like I nearly nailed it. That's what a true fan does. You're a true fan of the Japanese team, so you did what you're supposed to do. But this is a moment where you could be realistic or you could be leggy, and Leggy chose to be leggy, and that's the key. And I think that's the point of the dub, is to be yourself, express yourself the way that God intends you to do. But shout out to the dub, shout out to the final series that is coming up, the Ninja A-League. I don't think I've ever used the Ninja A-League term on the pod, but the dub is just running the show.
I hope it gets sponsored by Ninja.
I'd love to get sponsored by Ninja. What do we get?
Not when I call the league
Do we
shit
get the
every
Ninja?
week,
Do we get the Ninja Creamy as well?
No, I want we have the blender, but I want.
So you already have one. Why would they sponsor us if you're already? You don't say you have one on live TV. Like, it's so poor.
TV.
Yeah, it is TV. Mom, look, Mom on TV. That is the rest of the dub. We will talk about it soon when we get into the final series, because the dub is the best, and it's the best league in the world because it does what it does every single week. Oh, and now we have a few weeks off. We have about 2 weeks off of the dub, but we will get back to it when it's important to, as we move to the Benchwarmers Awards. Never bench again. Who have you got, Allegra?
I think it's only wise of me to pick Alessia Russo after having bagged Leon last week for not picking Arda Hegerberg and taking the easy
You want Alessia's knees to die at 30. You want her dead in the dust.
She has one of the best injury track records. She never gets injured, by the way. And I think that it's only fair if we're going to actually
So then never bench again, Renee Sledges.
She's just perpetually on the bench. She's on the bench with us.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's only fair that I say, like, if Arda Hegerberg should never be benched again as their best striker, then Alessia Russo should never be benched again as our best striker. And I think not only for the sake of scoring goals, but like she's a facilitator to Stina Blackstenius in ways that has actually elevated her game. And we saw that without Alessia Russo, Stina did struggle. So she's my never bench again.
Fair enough. I didn't pick Rousseau, but I picked Rousek. Rousek, who has played the last 3 games for Juve since the Genoa game on the 21st of March, but she missed quite a chunk of football. She hadn't played. She played on and off. She didn't play in the Juve losses, did play against Tanana. So she was playing in the league when it didn't really matter for Juve, but now I think she'll just thread into the side. I think she's that was a great moment. I think that's a coming of age moment, that win against Fiorentina, the other win against Fiorentina in the cup as well, and then the Genoa draw is sad, but she was player of the match in that game as well. So it is just 3 games in a row of like going unbeaten. So I don't know, I kind of get those things with keepers where keepers just stay in until they get beaten. So I just back her in to keep doing what she's doing. The same way my super sub is Zara Shaw. Imagine if Zara Shaw gets another goal in the Brighton game in the semi-final. But shout out to Zara Shaw. The story is there if you want to read about her. The 18-year-old came up against everything, against all odds to get that winner in the 115th. We spoke about it before, and there's more to learn about it if you want to learn about it. But that is my super sub of the week.
My super sub of the week is Aliyah Pilgrim. I think based on the
Yeah.
fact that she scored like 5 minutes after, 10 minutes after coming on for Roma, got that vital goal to secure the points for them. I also just think like it's a bit of a leggy thing. I've been backing Aliyah Pilgrim for like the last 12 months. I think she's been an absolute baller. And I think that she's planted herself as a super sub for now, and I think as a potential starter for the future.
100%. And I mean, I was gonna in my come on the pod was gonna be Elias teammate Winnie Heatley for that own goal that
Oof,
would have
we've
cost
had her
them.
for so many come on the pods.
Aliyah Pilgrim saved her so bad, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna go with a good come on the pod this week. I'm gonna go with Kennedy Fuller and Marta, all about the post-match antics of the Pride game, where, I mean, Fuller was absolutely like fangirling Marta to a level of a bench warmer, basically, I would say. So I was just like, you know what, Kennedy, you want to come on the pod and glaze Marta some more, bring Marta on as well. I think we wouldn't say no. And I'd extend the opportunity in a proper formal forum to ask all the questions you really want to ask Marta, and we can chat footy and everything you want to know about anything, because I think Kennedy Fuller's kind of good chat. I think I could get over the accent and everything. I think she's good vibes.
I wanted to replicate the exact face that she pulled, just the exact everything. Yeah.
There's the thumbnail for you.
Yeah. My one's it's a really harsh, but it's just a way for me to shoehorn in some of the results for the young Matildas. Ileana Mali, she was the goalkeeper for Adelaide United. She's been the
Yes.
starting goalkeeper for the young Matildas. Conceded
Who started
5 goals.
Started
Started
well.
well, so she hasn't conceded any goals. The Matildas have won 5-0 in both of their opening group stage matches. Came up against Japan. I watched this game live. It was the first game I watched of the young Matildas. It's really poor of me, bad form. But I had other things to do.
I watched the first. I watched the first
the
game.
first one? No, I haven't
because
watched
I wanted to watch a bit of Eunice, because I think Eunice has just been yapped on about for quite a bit, and I think she's kind of the real deal. They have a few young ballers, the young Matildas. As
I
Kang
keep saying that. I keep saying that,
it's
and my
all
parents are like,
fault.
"What
It's
are
all
you
my
talking
fault.
about?" Yeah.
You're talking about this is my fault. You are Kang filled, my friend. There we go.
But I don't care if she's 17. She let in some of the worst goals I've seen from a starting keeper. Like, this is not like a keeper that's like just breaking through for Adelaide. She's been starting for Adelaide since Jenkins went down back last year in December. I don't care if she came in when she was 16. She should be doing better in these goals. I also don't care that this is technically a shoe-in for me to get these results in. She's kind of like the fall guy for me doing this. I don't care. You have to watch this game to see some of this horrendous goalkeeping.
No, I watched the
17-year-old
highlights.
child.
I actually watched the highlights of this game, and look, it's not the best performance, but
It reminded me of early Kiara
she's like a child.
Yeah, I know. She's like picking her like electives for like year 11. I know.
Like this is how you do, like we're the pundits that people talk about that say that destroy career. Like,
I'm sorry, I'm never gonna
the
be
career
there.
hasn't started yet.
Yes. And
This
I'm
is
gonna
the
back
moment.
it.
Yeah, no. I understand that, and she's got to get used to the world of social media where people keep up with your content and expect a lot of the Combank young
Me and the 12 people who are
the
watching,
young
yeah.
bank and the young Matildas. Yeah, I
Jesus.
agree. But it'll be interesting. We'll talk more about the young. What is it, the under-20s or under-19s?
Under-20s.
Asia Cup. Yeah, under-20s Asia Cup more when we have the international break, because we'll be closer to the knockout stages.
They are the knockouts next week,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, exactly. So we'll get into that more effectively, but that is all we have for the Benchwarmers Awards as we move into What Would Kang Do, the final segment, rendition number 31. 31, I could have made it about Stanway, I could have made it about Ayama, but I've gone on a limb here with some Q&A, not Q&A, K&A, a bit of Kang and answer, a bit of Kang improvisation again. But we're going to solve a bit of an issue that was triggered by, firstly, the talk that I made last week, the Kangarilla, and also a tweet I saw recently about a Highbury legend, a City legend too in her own right, the Scottish defensive maestro that is Jennifer Patricia Beattie. That's right, government named, my
Government
friend.
name her,
Yeah,
geez.
exactly. Jen Beattie. Shout out to the I think it was a Twitter channel, Katina McStenius, which, Leggy, is that just you? Leggy, is
No.
that you?
No.
It probably is you, but she had a photo of Jen at the Arsenal game at the North Bank, saying Beats is giving Kang a run for her money with all this transatlantic travel. And I thought to myself, I'm like, you know what? This is a good debate. This is a great debate, right? So Beattie's a CBS analyst who played at Bay FC. She does a lot of work in Stamford, Connecticut, because that's where the CBS crew is. For the UWCL, they stay in America, whereas the UCL men's comp, they do it from Stockley Park in London. So she's in America, so they can cover the NWSL, they can cover the American players that they have on there, Kelly O'Hara and everyone else, all of the Kang Avengers that they have, Ellie Wright, yeah, exactly, all the classics. But all this travel, the exhaust, the fumes, the environmental degradation, we need a solution, right? There is no Woso if the carbon dioxide levels are too high and the Yongmi emissions from our product are just killing the planet, right? We need football. For us to have football, we need grass, we need earth, we need the planet to work, right? We need a solution, Leggy. How can we help Kang if we had omnipotency the way Kang did with our ability to facilitate a greener Woso, not just money green, but environmentally green? How would we do it? How can we make Woso woke so, right? Woke would Kang do. Woke would Kang do. That's
when
the key.
I saw this, I texted you Taylor Swifted Jen Beattie, and you were a bit confused.
But it's not really about, like, yes, I understand Taylor Swift has her own private jet and she flies around like the F1 and takes herself around everywhere and everyone goes, she uses too much energy. But Taylor Swift has I mean, I don't know if Kang does Kanban offset. I don't know what her plan is.
No, I was gonna say, I mean, Jen Beattie, Michelle Kang, I think that the next pop duo. I'm saying to offset all of these emissions, right? You release an album of like pop hits, right?
Pop
And then
hits.
you can use all the time that you're going away and actually take it as like to actually like perform. So instead of just doing punditry and commentary and like using all this airtime just to like get around and get into the boxes, you actually do a halftime show at every London City game. Maybe
Oh my God.
before a
But
Lyon
don't
game.
they have
pre-game
like
entertainment.
they have the marching band. They have the marching band at LCL, so they can get that band involved.
Have you heard some of the songs they play?
They can, they
They're
played
pop
Valerie.
hits.
I remember they played Valerie. That
Spice
should really be
Girls.
Michellery, but they also you get Jen Beattie on production, the Jen Beatties, the Jen Beats.
That's actually such a good
Jen
DJ name.
Beats. Yeah,
Oh my God.
DJ Beattie.
DJ Beattie, that's it.
DJ and J is Jen. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
DJ JB. But Kang, I mean, look, Kang could be anyone in the pop duo. She could also be Kanye West. We don't know what the middle ground.
England.
There you go.
From
Banned
England.
from England. So yeah, how would she be able to fly around? Then she'd have one less place to travel to. But
True.
I was thinking, look, there's two options. Either we develop young renewable energy, like we need some way of doing like solar, wind, hydroelectric plane, like Vision 2030. Get Mohammed bin Kangman on the phone as well.
Vision.
Yeah, Kanga Vision. Yeah, something
Division.
about that. But yeah, One Division, Kang Division. I don't really. I mean, Kang needs to be selling a vision that means that her private jet work can be validated by the Woso gods. But the other thing I thought about is an Apple collab. So obviously last year Apple announced the Vision Pro, those like giant obnoxious goggles that go on people's faces, that had a partnership with the NBA. So obviously Kangdom Silver tried to build this thing where it's what's called the NBA Pro Immersive Experience, where it's like you use the Vision goggles and they're connected to this like console that makes it like you're sitting courtside at the NBA game.
Oh, wow.
So Kaniska, right? Kaniska, their whole slogan, if you go on their website, Kaniska's whole thing is the world's preeminent women's sports organization, creating innovative, high-performance culture of winning on and Off the field. Off the field means innovation off the field. So let's find new ways to not. You don't have to fly. You get your Kangdom Vision, your Kangpool Vision Pro, right? You put them on, and it's like you're sitting at Bromley Stadium. Damn straight, yeah. It's like
You
imagine being the marching band has the console there, or you go pitch side. You go straight pitch side. You get the Groupama, you get Spirit Stadium, and you get at Bromley Park. I think Kang and Apple need to work together. Tim, let her cook, and we will be on the way to some Kang greatness. I think that's the real key, is that we need to be like, Kaniska isn't just about rehab. It isn't just about like facilitating like new like sport medicine modifications. This is innovation hub, means technological innovation. It means solving the climate crisis. Like what are you innovating if players are still doing their ACLs? If your best player, Kangslani, just got finished with their ACL, what's Kaniska doing? Right? Kaniska need to be building an electric plane. They need to be building Vision Pros on pitch side at Kang stadiums, and then you can really call Kangniska the place to be in terms of the innovation hub that it is. But that is all we have for What Would Kang Do this week, and that's all we have for the podcast this week. We are on Spotify, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, full audio visual podcast. We're on TikTok. Please like our content, retweet it, rate it, comment. We always comment back. You guys have been smashing. I mean, you don't, but you always message me to comment however you please. But that's because Leggy shouldn't be allowed to comment things. I mean, you heard her in the awards. Imagine you saying that about 17-year-olds. What do you think she'd be saying to you guys as comments? But we are putting out full audio visual podcasts, 2 podcasts a week. We're putting out 8 TikToks a week. You know why? Because we cover the game in ways no one can. We cover more leagues than everyone. Shout out to all the comments that recognize how hard we work, because we're not just covering Woso every second or every minute or every hour or every day. We cover Woso every week.
Every week?
Every week?
Every week?
Every week. There we go.
You totally missed that one.
I wanted to add one more. There was spice in it. We were doing well. But shout out to all the support recently. Thank you all for listening, and have a great week.